So what do you mean by debugging? I told that in the previous session, we have discussed about what is an exception, what is an error, why an error occurs, why we need to handle an exception. I told there clearly that, when you're working on an Android app, suddenly a big message comes that something was broken. You will feel very uncomfortable as an end user. But if it just says like a single message that, so there is no internet connection or something else, as a user, we feel more comfortable. So that is what about how to handle an error with an exceptions. Then what is a debugging? This is about the logical error. So somewhere you have written a logic in somewhere, but you are supposed to write it in another way. So in those cases, how to handle? That's where debugging comes to picture. Say you are given a operation of addition. Say addition is equal to 10 plus uh, 10 plus 34. Sorry, 120 plus 34. Did I write correctly? I thought of doing addition, but I gave a negative symbol, means minus symbol. Means instead of addition, subtraction will happen. But do you think like, so Python will understand that you were supposed to write something, but you gave other thing? No. So that's what the problem. Whenever there are syntax errors, whenever there were any errors coming, we can see that because code will break. Whereas when you do a logical mistake, so Python thinks that it's your logic, not just Python. Any programming language cannot identify that. When you write a logic on your own, which is something else, so that's what we need to handle it. So that's why many languages support this concept of debugging. So for debugging means what? You have a bug somewhere that you are trying to identify. For identifying, there are like basically two ways of doing. One is using the print statements. Print is the most common way of doing. But like, okay, print statements we can give. What if your code is very big enough? Can you write so prints everywhere? Of course, that is a poor man's debugging, we say. So any person who want to be coming to the any language, first they use prints only to understand. But like over a period of time, it's not a good thing because everywhere you cannot write prints those many. You are changing the entire code. Assume that you are in a production code, so you can't change everything. So that's not a good way of doing. Sometimes you want to, when a particular context comes, you want to check multiple things. So based upon the results. For those things, there are two types of ways. There are console based debugging, which is more famous because as a developer, we do a lot. So there is something called as PDB or IPDB, or like there are other kinds of things like PUDB. New kinds of debugging tools are coming. But the most famous among them is PDB and IPDB. And the other one is like alternatively IPDB, sorry, IDE based debugging. So there is something called as PyDevD, which you don't even know. Even if VS Code or PyCharm, PyCharm is very good enough in terms of debugging. As we are not going to the tool, I am not telling anything there, but we can continue here. Let me walk through with a couple of examples where you can understand how we can do the debugging. So first thing, example of using a PDB. I want to explain you how to use a PDB. So let me write a small program. Say like I want to work on say user bin Python 3. So what the purpose? Usage of PDB module. So I'm saying that in Python, if you want to work on any library, we need to import it. The library is called as modules. And if you want to use, first import PDB. Hope you remember. If you want to print first PDB, I will show you like, what is this PDB. Now, if I go to the terminal and try to show it, generally in Jupyter Notebook, we don't use the debuggers. Okay. So try to be very sure about it. Jupyter Notebook itself is interactive mode. You can check every step individually, right? So max no one places that. Means you can write it, but it makes no sense because everything is in individual interactive mode, right? So that's what you need to be aware of. So I need to navigate to the directory where I am part of and say Python space the file name. It will execute. And in Python, I told you, everything is treated as an object because it's an object-oriented programming language. You take a number. So for a number, we can ask, say number 1 is equal to 123, and I can print the number, print the number, and I can get the, address location of where the number is there. And also like I can get the DAR, means list of attributes, right? Hope you remember. In the same fashion, not only for built-in things, even if you import a module also, we can get the same. I printed, when I printed, I got like module PDB, which is at this location. Means the moment you install any module or the moment Python comes with some things built in, the moment you install, so Python, you will get some modules. Those libraries are stored in this lib slash for PDB, like that folders it will store. Okay, what if I want to check the list of attributes of this module called as PDB? So I will clear the screen again and I will ask again. Did you see? With PDB, you can do a good number of things. So you can get the line prefix. So line cache. So means like line number. So print you can get. So a lot of things are there. Set trace is there. Signal is there. Okay, few are things. But the most commonly used among these are like set trace. PDB.setTrace is the most common thing. Okay, now we understood about what is this module briefly. Let's see a practical real-time use case. If I take a small module where like I take two values in runtime, I want to add them. You say I take two values. I want to do the addition. Addition is equal to, so value 1, value 2. Okay. I want to print like say in F strings addition equal to like this. If I do now, I should get the output. Python a so and so. I'm giving like 12. The other one is like 13. So, but I got 25. I expected the answer should be, so 12 into 13. But I got the other way. So why this happened? In order to understand that, if let's say big program is there, you want to pause somewhere. I'm saying pause. It's not like stop. Pause somewhere. And if you want to debug something, that's where it will help. So generally, if you are going with a PDB print-based things, so things would have been very different. Sometimes you won't even notice the differences. Say the same example, we know like we used int. Okay, assume that we forgot to do these conversions. Okay, assume that we forgot to do these conversions. If I use like a print statement, so I want to check, hey, what is the value of this one and what is the value of 2. So this is what we want to check. Say we are using in an ordinary way. Now you see what will happen if I execute. I give like first one 10, second one 2. So it is saying like same 10, same 2 only. But you are not getting, so 10 into 2, 20, but you are getting 1 or 2. So addition will not help every time. So to understand further, apart from that, you also pass, hey, now you got an idea. Maybe it is something else and you want to check the data types. So don't you think like when you're doing traditionally with print statements, you need to literally write everything. After you understanding, okay, this is the problem. Okay, now it printed that it's a type. Oh, it's something, right? Okay. It will print the type. Then you will notice what is the problem. You see, I gave 10, I gave 2. Now you see, it gave strings. Now I understood that it is doing a string concatenation, right? So then like I will comment it. Now I understood the problem. And instead of that, I pass it like integers. Hope you understood. If you are doing the same thing in another way with pdb.setTrace, so with print, what happens? Your execution will happen as it is, but in middle it will execute. What if there are certain things, if they should be very critical, if something happens they should not execute, or we should be very careful in number of times we are executing like this. In such programs we should be careful and use, so import pdb. So generally any module when you import, you write in the starting. So but only for pdb, it's like a in production code we don't write it. So pdb dot set this is the two things you write. Generally in any program we don't write all these things. In production code there won't be debuggers. Never write any code and pass with pdb within it, because your code will pass in middle, right? It's not a good idea. That's why, to make the things easy and handy, instead of writing everywhere, you know, so they write in a single line such that it would be easy to comment and uncomment. So semicolon, right? You can write more than one statement in a single line. So this is how they write. Now we see the same example execute. If I see, I gave the same 10, I gave them the same 2. Did you see? It didn't execute the entire thing. It passed it there. What it is saying? Hey, give the entire file name. In this script, it is saying that you are next line to execute is 16. Next line to execute is line 16, right? And what is the statement of execution also it is giving. Now what to do? You don't know what to do. Just type H. It will give the help of what all things you can do. So there are like short forms and full forms. Say H I type, right? In the same fashion, I can do help also. Means either H or help. Both will do the same thing. A or jump. So L or list. LL or long list. Like that, for everything there is there. If I say L, see what happened? The moment I did a L, okay, did you see that it gave few lines before and after? And did you see the arrow is there to point out, right? So L or if I do list, so obviously, it printed already a list of values, right? It can't print again. So that is a problem with L. Only one time it will print like that. There is one more thing called as LL. LL means like a long list. If I say long list also, I get the same option. It is printing the entire program and it is showing the arrow where you are. So if you are in a small program, you can do LL also. So if you are a big program, you can go for list, means which simple L. Long list will give the entire thing, whereas the list beauty is that it can give, let's say, I can give list 5 lines. For list beauty is that I can ask like only few things. So list 6 lines if I give, it will try to give totally 6 lines. It's as many as possible. If the code itself is like 3 lines or 4 lines, then also it tries to, it's bad to show you. That's it. So like that, list has an optional to pass how many lines you want. So whereas LL, it's like a long list. It will give the entire thing. So apart from that, if I give H again, you can see what all things. Alias, augments, break, all these things, continue, pass, etc. Okay. I will slowly introduce one after the other here. Now, okay, somehow you came here. You want to see what all things happened. Before even going to these options further, let's pause for a moment and come back. Here we have seen that, we are at line 16, right? That's what we understood here also. So till now, what are the values were processed? If you want to see, then like I can say value 1. Okay. So it's saying syntax error because value 1, right? Okay. It is saying value 1 in quotes, right? Did you see? The moment you asked, it asked in quotes. By itself, we can understand that, this is a string. Then you understood the problem. And if you want to further check the type, you can check here itself. There itself you will understand. And if you want to check anything, you thought like, value 1 into value 2. So addition. So value 1 plus value 2. Okay. Value 2. You expected that it should do addition, it does something else. Now there itself you understood the problem. The moment you understood the problem, you want to stop execution. That's where, so you can have something called as exit and quit. If I say Q, it will quit it. Q or quit. See, like this. Exit. Exit is like safely come out. Quit is like stop. Don't do anything. Come out. And if you want to just continue the execution, that's where C comes to picture. Now you understood the problem. Okay, now you want to address it. So how you want to address? You want to convert them to integers. I did convert to integer, and second one also I took and converted to integer. Okay. Now if I execute, I gave like 10, I gave 2. So I gave everything corrected, right? So if I want to just continue, so if I just want to go to the one line next line, I can say n. N means it go to the next line. Did you see now? So now the next line means line 18 it is. And if I say n again, it will continue. So what else is there? Return key append. So that's it. So if I say next, there is nothing more. Empty line and it stopped. So if you just want to execute one line at a time, this is how. So again I will run this time. If I execute, see here, I gave everything correctly, 2 correctly, but still it is there. So you understood the problem, no more to do. Just C means continue. Means how many steps are there, go execute. But in real time, when you're going to production, you need to comment it and run it. This time if I run, if I give 10, 2, everything worked, right? So this is how you identify a problem and you address it. And similarly, so once again to say, semicolon is a statement separator, as you already know. Now, going further, let me go for a bit more complex kind of thing where you can understand how to debugging. So because in real world, when you go to Linux machine, you will not have an IDE to debug. So that's where these are more important there. So let's go for one more example. This time I want to display all even numbers between 0 and 100. This is what my agenda. So I want to get the numbers and try to see. So first of all, I define something like a numbers. Numbers equal to range of, say I want to get from 0 to 100, right? All even numbers. I wrote like this. Now fine, 0 to 100 is there. How do you display the numbers? So to display like all even numbers, say for each number in numbers, I want to take the number and print it. Say if each number percentile to, okay, so print a number, each number. So this is what my intention is, to print it. Now you see what will happen. CLS and Python be so and so. If I execute, I got. But did you see that I didn't get not even a single even number. I got everything as odd numbers. Then I need to debug. So where should we place the debugger? That's the most important thing. Everyone knows that we need to do import PDB. You know, generally any module we import in the starting. Only PDB we import in the same line, such that it would be easy to identify and comment. So PDB dot set trace. This is what we do. What if I do like this? Do you think like you can solve any problem like this? So everything was executed, right? In the last if you do clue, so that is like, you know, post analysis if you want to do. So this is called as post analysis. Means like there is no point of dealing it, right? This is called as post analysis or post mortem. After executing something, if you want to see, so you will get the constants and you can see that. So you can check like, hey, what is the numbers? You can check like what is the value of each number. When it is doing the all iterations, you can see, right? And still, So this is something called as post-mortem, after executing something if you want to see. So for post-mortem, there is something called as, post-mortem. Generally, right, when a person was dead, that is called a post-mortem. How it was dead, all these things, if you want to analyze, you can check like this at the end. For that, there is an option called as, for this post-analysis or post-mortem, we have something called as any Python script when you are executing, so you write it. So there are two ways for the post-mortem or post-analysis So one is like using the statement at the end of script. This is one way, and the other way. So other way is like running like this. Means till now. So I will come out of it to or exit if I do. Okay, I come out of it. Fine. So till now, how I execute a program? Python space like this, right? This is how I execute. It came. Now the same thing I do. Hope you remember I told multiple options. Python hyphen I. So nowadays, if you go to PyCharm also, you'll see the same thing. So Python hyphen I script means if you execute, it will execute everything. Did you see there is a chevron symbol? Means Python prompt. Means whatever you saw previously, the same thing you can see. Hey, you can ask, hey, what are the numbers? So context is there, right? And you can say what is the each number. Did you see 99? The same old things you saw other way. Okay. So to address this problem, do you think that post-mortem can help you? Not exactly. In some cases, post-mortem helps. In some cases, in middle only we need to understand. But here in the post-mortem, we understood that the last value is 99. But 99 is not a thing, right? What is saying? Even number. At the same time, you want the values from 0 to 100. But did you see the last value is not 100, right? So there are two problems here. One, so it is not an even number, and two, the last number is not 100. So with post-mortem, you understood these two problems. Now, how do you address that? So to address in middle anytime, so we need to use the comment, so this part, and place somewhere. So what's the best place to place? I placed here. Okay, I thought like this is the best place. So I should come out of it, exit. If I do exit, this is how I come. Hope you understood. Now if I execute again the same program, this time I did not do again hyphen I. There is no interactive is not needed because I don't want to do post analysis. I'm middle only. Did you see now? If I do LL, did you see? What are the lines which are comments? What are the lines which were like, so doc strings? Well, left like that, and you saw the position, cursor position somewhere. Now, if I say, so N means next. So each time where it is going, line 20 now. So again, if I do next, so line again 19 means after doing anything, it will go again cursor to the next line. You see, line 19 it came. So it is not that graphic way for you to just show. But when you go for a Linux machine, you don't get this option of doing. If I do like next every time, it will just execute the next line. So in a for loop, every time it will go inside, come outside, right? That's how it works till the for loop was all done. So and so the bet you can understand the same thing. So you understood the problem. Somewhere the problem is there, but you don't want to just go everywhere like that, and you want to go somewhere. You understood that the problem is somewhere here in line 20 because some condition is there, and you cannot go place every time pdb.set trace every line, right? It would be foolish to ask. We cannot write these many things. So and in real time, if you want to test something, this is not a good way. So that's where breakpoints comes to picture. Breakpoint means if you say breakpoint, I will tell you b space and you tell me what line you want breakpoint. At line 20. At line 20, if you see LL now, did you see? The cursor is also at line 20. Breakpoint is also at line 20. So do you think like every time you want breakpoint there, or so breakpoint at line 21? So whenever the condition is inside, there you want to check, or every time at the condition you want to check? Maybe inside you want to check, means line 21 you want to check. So whenever cursor comes there, you want to check. But you have set breakpoints. So if you set a breakpoint like that, but if you want to disable the breakpoint, so you need to understand there is a slight difference. When you set a breakpoint, you can tell the line number, but when you want to disable a breakpoint, you should tell in terms of the order in which you give. Disable 1, disable 2. This is interesting. So this is something confusing. That's why people go to IPDB for this. You see, in breakpoint, when we set first line 20 we give, that is like the, so in order first breakpoint, right? This is the second breakpoint that you have set. So if I say disable say 2, so disabled breakpoint 2 at line 21 means, did you understand what I'm trying to say? You see now, this breakpoint was disabled, and so when you want to enable a breakpoint, you can just say B the line number. But when you want to disable a breakpoint, we should tell like these things. But if you want to again enable a breakpoint, so enable breakpoint for. So only when you are setting a breakpoint, you give the line number. In other times when you are processing, every time you need to do like this. One argument everyone says like, we don't know if I set 10 breakpoints, how can I know? Means when you're doing a debugging, you will be knowing immediately, right? So that's what the other side of argument to say. So I have 2 breakpoints now. So disable, enable I told, and delete if I say. If I want to delete a breakpoint, so say clear 1 if I say, 1 breakpoint at line 20 was removed. Did you see now cursor is there? Of course, till now I'm saying like how to enable, disable and all these things. But what is the main purpose of debug breakpoint? Let's see. So till now if I say next every time, what will happen? Next means every time the loop will execute that much times. And you see, right? What if the loop is executing for 1000 times? But if you want to execute only when the condition is satisfied. So that's why I placed a breakpoint within it. Whenever the cursor comes to within it, only then I want it to pass. In that case, I placed a breakpoint within it, and instead of N or next, I see C or continue. If I say continue or C, then it will go execution till the next breakpoint. So now, did you understand the importance of breakpoint? Instead of going each line yourself and executing and checking, breakpoint means you are having a doubt at a particular line. So till cursor goes to that line, you want to execute everything. So that's where like this comes. So I came inside, I saw what is each number. It is 5. Now I got a doubt. So if I say each number percentile 2, it is resulting in 1. So what we thought, it should be equal to 0, right? Means false. So now I understood the problem that if I check for the any number which has a condition like this, then it would be good, right? So if I say like is equal to 0 like this, now it will execute. If I go further, continue or even continue, after program was started, you made the changes. So if you want to see the effect, again you need to restart the program. So there are 2 ways, right? You can quit and do, or you can do a restart. So restart, okay, it's not working. Okay, sometimes, yeah, it would be. So if you restart again, so what it is saying? So now I restarted the program again. Did you see that breakpoint is not there? So breakpoints are not, persistent. Till the program executions only, these breakpoints will be there. Once you stop the program and re-execute again, there won't be there. Now we understood this is a problem. and you want to just continue because you address the problem. Just say continue. Did you see now all the numbers are there, which are all even only, right? But one problem addressed. You got now all even numbers. But you want to check what is the last number. So even in this case also. So in that case, how to do? So Python -i want to check in the last values. If I do, so see again. So after executing all, it is at the last. I want to check the each number. Did you see it is 99? So how these numbers are creating from the numbers? If I check what is numbers, you got it. So range object we can ask like this -1 also. Did you see it saying 99? And do you know that range? It will go till the last value but doesn't include the last value. So for the same numbers, if you assign range of 0 to 101, and if the same thing, if I ask, hey, what are the numbers? It says 0 to 101. And if I ask, hey, give me the last value, it would be 100. So this you understood only when you're doing a post processing. So after doing it, and this time you need not have a breakpoint. And if execute again, Python space b so and so. So the same output you will get. So the two problems, one is like having a events, and the other one is that you need to get till the end, till 100, both you are addressed. So Python, what it does is that, so they created a new function called as breakpoint. In Python 3.6, instead of doing these two steps together, you can write a breakpoint. Because every time everyone is writing in breakpoint, mostly they use the same thing. Breakpoint and set default together. Instead of doing together,